And what he's saying is, when you pray, don't pray like this. Oh man, that's terrible. God, that's terrible. Help. All right, I'm good. Break. He doesn't do that. What he's saying is, with prayer, with petition, with thanksgiving, with these requests that you bring, what he's saying is take some time to really uncover what the real issue is. Is the real issue your job? Is the real issue at the core of your heart that causes all this worry and stress? Is it the fact that you're not getting a promotion, or is it that you feel really insignificant? That you feel like nobody notices you? You see, what Paul is saying is take the time and have God uncover what the real desire is. Our fears expose our heart of hearts and our real desires. And, behind all of that, there's real issues. Behind our legitimate requests, real issues of security and fear about where our kids are spiritually, and feelings of insignificance and fear that God doesn't know and God doesn't care. And Paul is saying, take the time to discover and give those deep heart level issues to God. And when you do that, you know what will happen? He says that the peace of God, which transcends all understanding, will guard your hearts and minds in Christ Jesus. It transcends all understanding, which means it transcends the circumstances. It means nothing has changed. It doesn't make sense because nothing has changed, and yet I have peace anyway. Like if you have peace, like if you're experiencing real peace, but everything's going well for you, that's not the kind of peace that transcends understanding, right? Like if your life is awesome, your kids are awesome, you got the promotion, you got the raise, your kids got the scholarship, they're so good looking, you feel like you married up and your spouse feels like they married up. I mean, if everything is that wonderful, guess what? You don't have a peace that surpasses all understanding. Because everybody looks at you and says, of course they're happy. Like, who wouldn't be happy? But the truth is, though, we know this, even when life is great, even when things are going well, we don't have peace, do we? Because we're so worried that it's going to change like that. Like, even when things are going great, like, you're like, man, life is awesome. Oh, man, life is awesome. Oh, man, there's no way this can last. Like, you're that kind of a person. You're like, oh, man, I'm so happy. Like, what is my happiness pointing to? Like, you've watched way too much TV. You've watched way too many movies because in your mind, you're thinking, okay, everything's great. I'm really, really happy. And then the next scene, my head falls off. Like, you're that person. Like, we can't even have peace when all of our experience screams peace. And yet Paul is saying, I want to give you something even better than that. I want you to have peace that transcends understanding because all of your life should be screaming anxiety, and yet in the midst of it, you have this sense of calmness because you know that God is still God. And he says, this peace will guard your hearts and minds. That means it'll stand watch over your heart. It'll guard your mind from anxiety and fear and stress and freaking out like everybody else. Because that's all anxiety is, right? Anxiety is looking at the future and coming up with the worst possible scenario and then flipping out about it. He says we can have a peace that surpasses all understanding that will guard our hearts and minds in Christ Jesus. And it starts with us simply revealing to God. Instead of freaking out and worshiping our worries, we worship Him and we tell Him, God, this is what I'm really concerned about. Where are my kids going to be? Am I going to be a burden on them when I'm retired? What about my health? My dad died at this age and I'm approaching that age. How am I going to pay for education? What am I going to do? I'm getting older and the job's getting younger. God, I feel so insignificant. Bring that to Him. Say, Father, what I really need what I'm really afraid of and give it to Him.